Lisa, welcome to the Always Better Than Yesterday interview session. So good to have you. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to chat with you.
Amazing. So I'd love to know a little bit more about you. I know that we've got a similar career background as well, but I'd love to hear it from yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and your story.
We also have in common that one of us talks funny, and it'd be me because I live in Minnesota.
Well, in England, I'm from the southwest, which means we all sound like farmers.
Really? This is the farmer England accent? Did not
Yep.
know that.
Yep.
Okay, the more you know. My background is in comedy, 2 decades of comedy. And I come from a traumatic childhood where humor became my escape. And that's
Mm,
true for a lot of comics. We want to get on stage and be someone else. And it's a beautiful escape, and laughter is acceptance. So that's the life I delved into after being a kid and realizing if
mm,
mom was laughing, she wasn't beating us. That's the short version. And then I became a comic running a comedy troupe that locally is award winning, where we were writing and performing sketch comedy, song parodies, and improvisation, which I love.
yeah. Why?
Oh, it's so thrilling to take someone's idea and create something on the spot, and
Yeah.
to be able to just be able to take your tools with you just simply because you exist. You have
Yeah.
everything you need with you. If I were a juggler, I'd have a suitcase full of props. And with improv, it's whatever is right there. It's
Mm,
whatever's on your desk. It's whatever's near you or in your pocket. And I recently did that at my doctor's appointment. We females have quite the extensive yearly checkup. And Ryan's going, "Oh, great. Where are we going?"
here we go.
And
Strap in.
yes, and the MA put all the items out on the counter because I had to have my female plumbing checked. And when she left the room, I just got the giggles waiting for the my PA, because there's all the little clamps and there's the little slides and the very medical things. And I went into my purse and I pulled out my I always have one at the ready. Let me see. I always have a fake cigarette at the ready. And so I set that out on the near this all the pap smear things. And then I set out a pack of gum. And so when she came in, and I'm on the table with the cloth over me, and when she came in and she looked at the counter and then did a great double take and then leaned into it like really close up and cocked her head like a curious pup. It was like, what was this? And of course I got the giggles. And then she said, "Well, of course you carry this stuff with you." And then she said, "Can I have a piece of gum? I had a burrito for lunch." So
Classic.
anyway, that's what improv can do. And of course
Mm,
that rippled humor to her, and of course to her day, to her next patient. It's that
mm.
beautiful ripple effect, the same as when you have a crummy day and that's all you see is the crummy part.
Yeah. I think like I'm hilarious and like, but my family see the opposite. They see the other, because they see all the jokes that have bombed, that fail. How do you approach your kind of comedy or improv? How do you, is it practice? Do you hone your craft? Like, or is just every joke
Yes.
massively funny?
Well, I can't help but be funny. Just ask me. But truly at work, I see the sillier sides of things. I work in a very serious field, which is with police officers, and I do
Mm,
records and dispatch. And you know what? If you don't find the levity in that, you're talking to human services workers and things. It's very serious work. There is a time and a place for comedy. There is a time and place to not have it. So if you're really good, you do know the difference. Although we've all gotten the giggles at a funeral or somewhere inappropriate,
mm.
it's important to know when to use it. And
Yeah.
are you harming someone? Then
Mm,
that's not my style.
mm.
I'm more self-deprecating, picking on my own self, or a situation that's not going to hurt someone's feelings.
Mm. Yeah, I really resonate. I come from a background with kind of single parent family, and humor is something that I've learned. I don't know whether I reflect as it as a coping mechanism, but more of a response to try and make everyone around me happy, and quite often a defensive mechanism as well, the self-deprecating thing. And like, how did you learn over time that that was something that you were going to put out into the world?
When I was really young and things were very crummy at home, my escape was to watch a show called The Carol Burnett Show. And that was sketch comedy and song parodies. Fast forward to when I was an adult and I got to do the very thing on a smaller scale. Just amazingly awesome
Hmm.
life that I've had. And knowing that I wanted to do that, I would have my own shows in my room. And I actually had an audience that would come by and demand more songs and demand more costume changes. They were my Barbies. But in my mind, tickets were sold and seats were full. Man, I had some shows going on and I loved to pretend to be someone else. And I loved that I could be 5 different characters in 1 hour if I wanted to.
Mm.
That's the best. It's just play and it's imagination. And I'm really glad I didn't just have computers when I was growing up because I would have turned out to not be as creative, I'm certain.
Mm. You talked about policing, and obviously that's the background that we share. And there's a dark side, there's a dark humor, shall we say, to that kind of 3 o'clock in the morning. You've been to some really horrible incidents, and sometimes it's humor that gets you through those moments. But um, like, how do you? Because we were talking a little bit on air, like off air, and around. You talk quite a lot around humor being a connector, but it's used in the world as a divider in many cases. Like, how do we create more humor that is a connector?
First and foremost, by not making the division of pointing at someone and laughing. In my
Mm.
home, I have 5 shared sons. The rule remains today. If someone falls or gets hurt, ask if they're okay, and then you can laugh your butt off. So the mom of sons who works with mostly men, that's the rule. Are you okay? Okay, that was
Free
hilarious.
reign.
Yes. But in my world of the comedy troupe, we had such a tight circle, and what we built over time was trust
Mm,
within that circle, and knowing that if you and I show up on stage and all of a sudden you forgot your character name or that we were in an elevator or a grocery store, I pick that up for you and I say to you, what a huge grocery store. I'm going to have your back. And that's the best kind of humor, is that which can connect. Or you and I are in line for a movie and don't know each other. Maybe we don't even speak the same language, but right over there, we just saw a dog walk by in a costume, and that is hilarious. No
mm,
matter your age, your language, your skin color, that's funny. A dog walking by dressed as a dinosaur is going to make us laugh. And now we laugh together because we happen to be
mm,
standing together. And that's what I mean, that it can connect across so many lines that
mm,
otherwise are there.
mm. My favorite band are Oasis, and I think Oasis really wrote some powerful songs when they used to live in just hard times. They wrote real songs that connected with real people through their pain. But when they got big and massive and they didn't have that pain anymore, their song lyrics weren't as powerful and as impactful. So for you as a comic that's come to this sense of humor through your pain, like, and then it becomes something that you do, how do you keep inspired in your comedy?
Knowing that writing comedy or seeking comedy is boundless.
Mm,
It's always there. And so I'm always challenging myself, getting my podcast going and making it really quirky, and making it, my challenge is always to get my guests to laugh or to get a story out of them that I haven't seen them share anywhere else. And it turns out it's not that hard if once you use humor to break down that barrier
mm,
or that nervousness. So I think that can be it. And you're right, because once Taylor Swift is in a solid relationship, her songs aren't as good anymore, are they? Yeah, we
Absolutely.
want the breakup Taylor.
We do need we need the breakup Taylor. What's a story that you've not told anybody else that you're going to share for the first time today?
Wow, I am such an open book that I can't say that I haven't shared much. A recent one that hasn't gone totally around is that I had breast implants for 18 years and finally got them out.
Yeah.
And that I did go on my Facebook page about. It's a very unhealthy thing to do, but way back, we didn't know that it was that bad. And it is. You shouldn't put plastic in your body. So my
Who
life
knew?
has changed in the last 2 years. I'm much more healthy that way. I can't say that there's a whole lot I
I love
wouldn't
that.
share because my memoir's out there and I I just don't have any secrets anymore. I used to think that I couldn't share things like
Mm-mm.
only finishing school through 10th grade, and leaving home at 17 just to get out of
Mm-hmm.
that situation. So
Talk to us
I
about your
have
memoirs. When did you write them? Why did you write them?
back in 2018 is when I self-published. It's on
Mm-hmm.
Amazon. And I thought for years I shouldn't and couldn't because I don't have initials after my name. Who am I? I'm nobody. And a friend said, if you wait to write it, it might be too late. And why are you waiting? And all these things. And so I finally was done beating myself up and gave myself grace to say, start writing. Don't worry about the order of the story. See, I have bad memories that way because of my childhood. I don't have
Mm.
who's your fourth grade teacher or who's this or that. I don't have those kinds of memories that I can easily recall. So I was choking, thinking, oh, I don't have chronological order. So I didn't write in chronological order.
Mm.
There might be a story about my mother having an alcoholic rage and me being embarrassed in front of friends. And then it's me pranking my coworkers and how that went good or maybe bad. I share both. But I just thought it was time to have it out because being a
Mm.
speaker, it's great to have a book to go along with it. Speaker
Mm.
author is a much better title and it sometimes helps you get seen. Since it came out, I did not expect the part of people coming up to me and telling me I was brave for sharing my story. I was scared, but I
Mm.
thought, well, here it is. And I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that people would think that was brave and that they'd want to share theirs with me.
Mm. What does that feel like?
It was the different kind of connector that I didn't expect. And people want to be heard. And I know that in
Mm.
my day job, there's so many times you get a call from an elder who says, Social Security just called me and they wanted my bank number. And I always tell them, you didn't give it, did you? And no. Good job. You get ice cream for supper. Tell your friends at Mahjong that you don't give your bank number. There's nothing the police can do because the numbers go
Sure.
through the computer, but they want to report it and they want to be heard. And they probably
Mm.
want to be told they did good because they didn't fall for it. We
Mm.
all want to be heard. And that was a beautiful part that came out of my book that I didn't expect was others want to share their story too. Maybe not out in a published form, but
Mm-hmm.
to say, dang, I didn't know other people went through the kind of childhood I went through.
Mm. The strapline of your book is finding humor through childhood abuse, failed marriages, and other hurdles. And wow, if you can find humor in that, it's like so when someone picks up that book and goes, "Wow, like what do they come across? Like, how do you find humor in those areas of your life?"
Well, I'm on my third and final husband. I usually wear them out after about 10 years each. So my current husband says he's got about 2.5 years left, but there's a secret I haven't shared. I plan on keeping this one. But I'm friends with my exes. And so I think when you say this isn't working, sure, there's going to be that time of turmoil. But again, self-deprecating humor, I say I'm very easy to divorce. I'm just like, I guess we're done. It was always hard. If my first marriage, we were sharing two sons. We
Mhm,
worked it out. We are friends. We chat all the time. And my husband's friends with him. And
mhm,
so there's no animosity. It's just, okay, that didn't work. We're still going to be connected forever. If you have kids, you're connected forever.
mhm,
So you
mhm,
can find the humor because we still share stories back and forth or memories on Facebook. And it's looking for the lighter side and really saying, did you have, okay, this fill in the blank, this crummy situation?
Mhm.
Are you going to sit in it and just sit in the mud until it hardens on you? Or are you going to get up, wash yourself off, and go forward? Looking through the windshield, not the rear view mirror,
Mm.
is where we're going to keep going forward. Because I truly believe we have one spin on this rock, and you better do all the things you want to do. And
Mm.
2020 was a reset for everyone. So what are you doing with that time? No more
Mm.
excuses. Take 5 minutes in your day toward that one thing that makes you just flutter and get sweaty in the weird places and excitement, and do that thing,
Mm.
because chances are you'll want to do it again tomorrow.
Have you had a chance to practice your comedy on stage much this year? Do you miss it?
Well, I do. I miss in person because as a speaker, I'm still interactive. I use all of those improv and sketch comedy things.
Mm.
That's the way I speak. But I have learned I do just fine as a virtual speaker. It's not the same. I really miss. There's not that room of laughter or
Yeah.
just the energy. There is a true energy, but I'm hanging in there for it. I stopped doing the big shows that we did because it was just so much in the production.
Mm.
But I still will be in things. But I love speaking, and it'll come back. But I still have
Mm.
the outlets of writing and all the virtual. And I'm really digging into my podcast. I'm taking this
Mm.
time to just collect all my weirdos.
What is it about strangers? What is it about strangers? You know, your stranger selfies, your stranger podcast. What is it that attracts you to strangers?
Serious selfies with strangers was my project in bravery and a dare to myself. And it's walking up to people that I do not know and saying, this is when we could be up close, and saying, would you be in a picture with me? And
Yeah.
so often, many, many times, it was yes. And then I added the caveat of, but we can't smile. And I use my timer 3 seconds countdown. So everyone, please try this with whoever's in your household.
Mm.
Just ask, can we get a selfie together? And then right before you take it is when you say, but we can't smile. It is silly. It is just funny. And you have to keep taking a picture till you both have serious faces. Post it and hashtag serious selfies with strangers and share that with me on my page, Lisa David Olson. I would love
Mm.
to see them. And that became just this goofy thing because as outgoing as I am, approaching a stranger and asking for a photo is a big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
But here's what I didn't get. I didn't understand, didn't expect. I was going to get some friendships that has lasted for years already. Like I think
Wow.
I've been doing it almost 4 years. And that's why I featured in my book as well, but it's a lot of it is on my Facebook page. And I did not expect that that would turn into a conversation
Mhm.
and connecting. And so the stranger thing is that we all have stuff in common. You and I have police work background, things in common, and our love of podcasts and the groups that we're in together.
Mhm.
We wouldn't have known that. The people that I have been interviewing pretty fluently lately, I've added a lot of interviews on my podcast, and every single one is something in common. There's not one that I can't say I don't connect with. One was
Mm.
traumatic. One was very much like the serious selfies of what he does, and on and on. And it's just amazing. So challenge yourself to put your phone down and actually talk to somebody that's at a safe distance at this time. But you just can't believe how much we have in common if you give it a chance just to talk. And it doesn't have to be in person.
Yeah.
There's
I
people in online groups that just reach out to each other and chat.
imagine that. So I love the idea, and I almost like I can feel the cringy like pain, just the idea of when you described it. And it's going to push a lot of people's comfort zones to do that. And I really look forward to a number of people trialing that. So that's amazing. We talked a little bit about before we came on around I love to talk about leadership, and I really believe that humor is a valuable tool in a leadership toolkit, but it's like walking a tightrope. It can go one way or another. And I guess, what are some of your ways where you think that leaders can embrace humor? You talked about trust earlier, but what are some of the other ways that leaders can use humor?
Stepping backwards before humor, the foundation is listening.
Mm.
If you and I are in a scene and we are arriving on stage and only you listened to the prompts that they set up for us, that we're two people in a restaurant who don't know each other and we're both wearing swimsuits. If I didn't catch that, that's not going to make a great scene. So you definitely want to hear your people. So if it's a work related or a leadership, hear your people and know your people. If you are doing it right and actually being approachable and listening and just hearing, you're going to know who actually drinks coffee or who, has a stand-up work desk and why, or who just had a holiday, things like that. Then you can use that when you're speaking and you'll be heard. We all listen when we hear our first name. We all listen if it's something that we know. And well, unless you're my dog, she kind of tends to ignore that. But if you are listening, you will have the connections that it takes, that you can understand who's funny, who's going to appreciate certain jokes, and also to know the limitations.
Mm.
But another improv tool is the one called yes and that's listening and building from it. So Brian tells me that we're going to have lunch at 11:30 today instead of noon. And I just say, no. Now where do we go? That would stop a scene on stage. That would also be really irritating because I love to eat, but it stops it. So you tell me something about that and I say yes, and I'll make sure the rest of the team knows. It's not just a work thing and it's not just a stage thing.
Yeah.
It's for you at home with a partner, with your children, with your children's teachers, because you can't build from what they say if you didn't listen in the first place. So it's listen and build from it. It's
Do you
like
ever switch off?
any good interview like that. What's that?
Do you ever switch off?
How so?
With seeing the humor and the fun and the funny in the world?
Oh, do I have an
Yeah.
off switch? I'm with you. Absolutely. Absolutely. I like a cell phone. I need a reset.
Mm.
It's private time or definitely out in nature. And so walks are my reset, and
Mm.
I definitely am active. So I'm pretty much a hyper thing. But if I don't listen to my body and miss it, that's what I call a gray day, and I kind of disappear. It's not as often anymore. But I would never lie and say that I don't. You got to know your balance and you got to listen to your body. And I was reading an article today about somebody's big aha moment in their health was that they needed more sleep. And I was like, really? Isn't that kind of basic? And then I thought to myself, am I getting enough sleep? Sometimes we forget. So
Yeah. I hear you
self-care.
on that one. What is 2021? What is you talked about doing some of those things that excite you. What are some of the things on your list for next year?
I'm not a calendar flipper. I'm not
Mhm.
a resolution person.
Mhm.
And I don't believe in that. I believe that you woke up and this is the new thing.
Yep.
Oop, I got a new day. And we do have a really fun dog. And if you drop a chip on the floor, or she gets to chase a rabbit, or it's something as simple as the coolest sunbeam in the house, we always say, my husband and I always say to each other, best day ever. So for our dog, everything is the best day ever and the best thing ever. So if you ever could just kind of take that lead from your dog, you would know that it's not about a calendar flip. I would never okay, go back to 2019, all the memes that you saw where people
Yeah.
wrote 2019 can bite me because 2020 is my year. What? Okay, you guys got kind of quiet all of a sudden. So I don't
We
put
should
anything on a
we should go
year.
back to all those accounts and just start sharing them, shouldn't we? Just
I
remember,
know.
remember.
Believe me, I looked. But
Well,
for the year coming up, I just want to continue with I want a TED talk. That's what I want. I want a TED talk, and
out
I
there.
want some more virtual speaking and just more meetups like this, because we all are doing improv right now. We thought this was going to be 2 weeks and then it was going to be a month. It's going to be a bit. So let's just keep being nice, being kind, and try to be creatively going forward without being angry.
Yeah. What is your one idea worth sharing?
My one idea worth sharing is let people in on your fun. If you are having fun and you do have a chance to compliment somebody online instead of cut them down, how about you scroll past something that you want to yell at? And how about instead you hop over to Messenger and tell Nathan Todd or somebody, hey, I thought of you today, like he does to us. Or if you really, and this is something I've been doing, if I think of my friend, she crosses my mind or he crosses my mind, I send a message. And almost all the time, the response is, holy cow, I needed that.
Yeah.
Because guess what? We all do. We all want to be thought of. So that's what I would leave you with. Let people in on your fun. Be more kind than you are angry. And if you're in a bad mood, stay off your computers.
and you we haven't talked about counter-clockwise yet, have we? But you call it the clubhouse, and you talk it about the the space of the internet, getting away from the boring scrolling, and yeah, you very much practice what you preach. Why did you create that group? Who's it for, and who should go join counter-clockwise?
Thank you. I was phasing out my comedy troops business page on Facebook because at the beginning of the year I was phasing out the bigger shows, but I didn't want to miss out on the sharing of comedy. And my page is my page. So you'll see me and my dog a lot on there. She's my comedy sidekick. And so I wanted something that was more interactive, that all the members could actually talk to each other. And on my other business page, you couldn't. It was just me posting. So I made the group counter-clockwise. It's my cyber clubhouse of fun. And really, it's a lot of meme sharing. If it's too raunchy, I do have my admins take it off because PG-13 is okay. But it is a way to interact with each other. And I think some friendships have kind of crossed the line over there too. But in 2 months, I had over 1,000 members. That's a lot for me. And I get messages weekly. Thank you for this space, because when I need to smile, I know I can go here. I get those messages and I save them in my little happy file. And then on those gray days, I go back to my happy file. Oh, I matter. I made somebody laugh today.
100%. And you're not alone. I'm more fool anyone that doesn't like have little reminders. On my wall to my right, I've got a impact wall, and it's just some little things that in my journey, little notes from previous clients, or like I coach under sevens, under eights rugby here. And it's just, do you know what? Sometimes when you're having that day, you just look over and go, okay.
Can I hear two of them?
Yeah. So I connected with a lady from San Diego. And I was like, oh, man, you're awesome. There are 2 people in my network that I really think that you need to speak with right now. One was in Sweden, one was in England. So I connected them. Oh, no, one was in New Orleans. So Sweden, New Orleans. And they connected, and they were like, she wrote me a handwritten letter, airmailed it from San Diego, just going, wow, like, thank you so much for your kindness, your generosity, the way that you've opened your network to me. I'll never forget it. Like, I'm like, whoa, like, I do a good thing. She does that. And I'm just like, isn't that the secret? Like, good people connect good people with good people.
Yes. And that represents many that you serve, that she took the time to actually verbalize it by hand. That represents many. I think that is such a great story.
Yeah, it's lush. You said 2, didn't you? The other one is,
yes, please.
There's a little picture of my under 8s little rugby team and the 4 coaches. And there's a little quote that says, let me read it. It says, a good rugby coach can change a game, and a great rugby coach can change a life. And there's the little, just having something like that, it's good for the heart and mind, right?
Oh, I love it.
There we go. So my ethos is about always better than yesterday. I'm just curious to know, what does that phrase, always better than yesterday, mean to you?
Leave the bad one behind. Treat the new day as a fresh canvas. Break out the paints. Finger paint with your feet, but like I said earlier, it's looking out the windshield, not the rearview mirror. So learn from your stuff and always seek the fun.
How do you get Pikachu on a bus?
Oh, I don't know.
Your Pokemon. I can't believe I just said that on a podcast. You can tell I have an 8-year-old
great.
son.
I love that.
This has been really good to share space with you, and I'm sorry I had to pain you with that corny dad joke.
I wish I had an answer. I was only thinking Squirtle, 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 Squirtle.
Would you do us the honor and the privilege of leaving us with a final thought from your good self?
Well, yeah, give me 1 second. Yeah, I think my final thought would be commit, whether it's a scene or a conversation or a moment. Commit to it and dare yourself daily. Connect with others and stay weird.
I love that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.